out here for you. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you.
We choose truth over facts.
Never go full retard.
Come on, man. Hey, Tim, how are we going? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz. As the army is about to go, Australian Army, most armies are about to go on holidays. RTP, the recreational leave period for the year. So they're going to get sent home. You know, we've got some amazing news for those that are about to go to infantry, for those that are about to join the army, for those that are about to go on holidays like tomorrow morning. We've already got people in the crowd here. We've got Wingy here. Sorry, guys, I was really running out of time. I've been on the bat phone, you know, right up until launch time. Not talking about Elon Musk here. We've got Simon Powell here, the Raffy. We've got Wingnut, who is started his leave, I believe. This is his first year in the military, and he's getting sent home for probably tell me if I'm wrong, Wingy, the longest paid of his life. Thank you to the king. You know, the king's coin, getting sent home. We give you as many holidays as teachers get, the education system. So well done. That means Cassie's probably getting ready to go and leave as well. We've got Jack Albert, George Radford, 93. Now, that's a title. That's a name. We've got Tommy C. Dwayne Duffy, who sent me a colostomy bag. I'm not actually sure what's in this yet, and I don't know whether he's a larrikin. I don't know if I trust him enough to open this online. We've got all the usual offenders here. We've got Mind Erosion. We've got Wingy. We've got Dwayne, as we said. And we've got myself. Righto. So, guys and gals, there's something you need to know. Mike Ledger, he'll keep us straight. Joshy Goodwin, how you going? Flip, how you going? So I got some news today which made me sort of think about infantry again. And I know we talk about this all the time. And I know that we just had a little bit of a heated video a few days on women should not go to combat corps. And 100% I stand by that. So let's make sure we get rid of the elephant out of the room before we speak. Now, the first one is when people rebuttal. And I don't mind you having an opinion, but it should be based on fact, information, knowledge, and experience. And that was not what I saw. So what we had was emotion-based responses to the video that I just brought out. If you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it. It goes for 13 minutes. It becomes a very interesting talk topic. And it's basically about females should not come to combat corps. You know, there's a lot more to coming to a combat corps than what there is just physicality through a PFA, through a BFA, both fitness tests, etc. There's the emotional side. There's a hygiene side. There's everything that comes with it. There's a lot of things that I can't bring up to your attention that are information coming back from people in units, what they're saying, from training establishments, from Army Reserve. You know, is not working. The females are being lied to, or they're lying to themselves, or the feminist agenda has got to them, and they actually believe what they saw on Charlie's Angels. 82, which was one of the worst movies I've seen. Absolute dog shit. Russell Crowe, salute to you. Soldier of Rome, who's Australian, Rabbitoh, Kiwi. Yeah. Some of the things that were brought up was what about the snipers in World War II, the Russians? Quickly like to say about that is, one, they were untrained. Two, they were militia and conscription. Three, they were fighting for their life. There was no training. There was no rules. There was no fitness. You know, there was no standards. There was no rules of engagement. You know, they just went out there. If they survived, they did. You know, grabbed a rifle, were good at it, and survived. Okay. As for Israel, again, Israel in their IDF, the national service element, you're going to see females with assault weapons walking around all the time. Remember, I've been all through Israel, you know, when I was posted to the Sinai Peninsula in 2008. So don't get this misnomers. There is no females representing hard in infantry anywhere in the world at the moment. And when they do, the books are cooked, and the army even says that they have an agenda to meet a target of, I think it's between 18 and 21% female representation within the Australian Army. And the only target we should have is the right people, meritocracy for the job. And if you're already coming in below the standard that is set by the standard male who would be kicked out of the army for incompetence if he achieved the scores of a female candidate, then that tells you themselves that they're lying to you. You know, we're protecting our girls, not trying to hurt our girls. And for those that came from other areas and said that have never had any experience in infantry, that came over and said, but that's just your opinion. I'm an expert in that field and I stay within my lane for a reason, which is why it always feels that we're talking about infantry. If I come to your workplace and you've done it for multiple decades and also represented as an instructor in that field, then I wouldn't come in there with my opinion. If I come to you with a lesson and then say to you, okay, this is how you stake guns for fixed lines, fixed limits. This is how you sight a javelin position, how you can incorporate snipers and heavy armor weapons, with protection, for the best effect as the coverage over a TAI target or area of interest, as a support by fire, attack by fire position. You're not going to tell me that that's just my opinion. It's my physical qualifications as an instructor and expert in that field. So it doesn't matter what you think you are. It doesn't matter the fact if you've never been told wrong. It's not your opinion versus some areas where I'm just right. So take the ego out. Understand this is not about people's feelings. So feelings, it should actually be the mothers, the sisters, the girlfriends, and the wives, and the daughters of the actual soldiers, that we need them to have the best possible team that is there. Also, one thing we don't really talk about is the little things as platoon sergeant, that anyone that goes to infantry, when you go out in a platoon position in the field in a tactical environment for females or males, any privacy when you've got to go and do a shit, you're probably going to be digging a hole somewhere between 5 meters from my location, central of the position, where there is security out beyond that. And when you come and do a shit after about a month hour, at all, out of boredom, I'm probably going to see whether the turd that rolls out of your butt goes in clockwise or anti-clockwise position, and that's not sexual. So if you've got females there and you don't care if we look at the way the poo comes out of the ice cream machine, then fill your boots. But there's a psychological aspect, there's a physical aspect, and all the runs on the board are saying the books are cooked, we're allowing people in, and it's hurting them in the long run. So guys and gals, there's a lot of men that fail too. Believe me. Tommy C. Hey, Kaz, do you reckon I should do my 2 years in the Navy and get a service transfer to Army, or would it be smarter to stay Navy? You don't know what you're going to think, Tommy C. You might get the Navy and absolutely love and have the call of the ocean and never want to go back. So join the Navy, love it, enjoy it, and then just make a decision in 2 years. We've got mind erosion. My grandmother was caught as a combatant at Leningrad, very different government leader. Or is it? Dude, at Leningrad. There we go. You're showing yourself there, mate. G'day, Eddie Bennett. Where's Eddie? Good morning from, so it's Ed Jr. Look, we've got to slap this up there. Here we've got Eddie, serving from, well done on number 47, mate. I had tears in my eyes. I was waiting for the Democrats to cheat that day, but you got in. This one's going to be for you. You're probably going to think, how's that relevant? But we're a coalition partner of yours. And so there we go. Fly the Australian flag. Coalition partners. We're about to have 16,000 Marines come and land and take all the girls off the soldiers from Darwin. Mate, we're very, very, very proud of you, Ed. You need to get your dad to call me, because I miss him even more than yourself. Give us a score out of 10, how much you're loving being in the US Army, sir. I know it's not, sir, but you know what I mean. Thanks for calling that out there, Simon. We've caught him. We've got Elijah. You can tell about it. Coffee team. I'm off the reservation at the moment. G'day, Kaz. After a long way to finally set off my enlistment through the gap year program on February 18. Boom. What a way to start 2025. Heading off practice PFA tomorrow. Going to smash it. Absolutely. Score the absolute 100%. Do not stop at the minimum scores. The one thing I'll tell you, team, is we had a platoon march out of Kapuka, on Friday, and the lads, and Sutto and the rest of the boys that got onto the bus today got to the School of Infantry tonight, tomorrow, are already going on leave for 7 weeks. So no sooner have they come to Kapuka, to the School of Infantry, they're going to get a brief. They're going to get told the expectations of what you should do on leave, like you're getting ready for a fight with Manny Pacquiao in 7 weeks. Don't pull a fat cord. Don't get in trouble. Don't injure yourself. Be back ready to train in January, 7 weeks from now. How's that for your first ever career? To go from you can't sit on your bed, working from 6 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night to see you later, see you in 7 weeks, and we'll pay for everything. We'll even throw in a haircut that makes you look like a cancer survivor. See you in 7 weeks. If that's not a reason to join, what is? Breathe through your balls. Kaz, do you know how many infantrymen are in the Australian Army? That's a very interesting point, and I'm glad you said that, breathe through your balls. I believe we have the least amount of infantry we have had in the history of the Australian Army. I'll say that again. I believe at the moment we have the least amount of infantry in the history of Australia. And what I mean is since basically since World War One. Yep. See, baptism by fire. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 area that, and 2 area, remember, is a new battalion allocation is to boatmanship and amphibious operations and reconnaissance, but they dropped Delta Company and Charlie Company. So that's half the battalion, poof, gone. Right? We've got 5 and 7 area have now relinked up last week, I think it was. So Darwin has now got basically what used to be 2 battalions is now 1 battalion, called the 5th, 7th Battalion, which it was not long ago as well. Then we've got 6 area and we've got 8, 9. That's it. So we've got 6 battalions that are feeding 2 special forces units, the 2nd Commando Regiment and the Special Air Service Regiment, and they only pick the best of the best, which means every time someone sticks their head up from infantry, bam, we'll take you. So what they're asked, every time it gets longer and some people show their faces leadership, they get taken away to special forces. So, yeah, there's a negative side of being special. Yep. Right, Eddie B, I'll tell him to give you a ring later on today, 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 because there's always room for improvement. But what can you do besides sticking to your piece of the pie? Absolutely, Eddie, and 11 Bravo. What is the best thing that you've found about the US Army to you? Because we're coalition forces. It doesn't matter if you're American, New Zealand, Australian, Canadian, UK, etc. We use different equipment, we use different uniforms, but we're in this together. What do we got here? How is a gap year in infantry different to basic training at Kapuka if you aren't signed up for a gap year program? So what happens is you're only there for a year, Walrus. You're only there for a year. It's basically 1 year of full-time Army reservist, fully qualified, and then you go back to an Army reservist, probably, which means you'll be doing 100 days a year, tax-free, getting cash incentives thrown in as well. Yep. So Eddie looks like he's currently looking at heading to Germany as I'm getting close to my re-enlistment. So here we are. Eddie's going back to the land of who we were in terrible fights with throughout the last century. Hit the like if you can, team. We've got to, and infantry's getting smaller and smaller. It probably makes sense. Trevi Rowe is the Oz military, Army, Navy won't get any softer, getting so much safer than, say, 10 or 15 years ago. Kaz sure seems that way. Trev, we don't know what's coming next. Remember this. Always remember this. Never damn the volunteer because it's not his fault. It's our leaders' fault. It's our leadership's fault. It's our politicians' fault. But the professionalism of our soldiers and grit they're going to have will be determined by one thing, nature. Nature will always ask the necessary questions of you. And the second one will be the enemy. The next enemy threat will determine whether we are fit enough, whether we are strong enough, whether our meritocracy is good enough. It has to be better than whoever we fight next. Decision action cycles of our enemy needs to be slower than the decisive capability of our leadership in the infantry, and the better they are, the more likely they're going to dodge our infantry and head for us. And that means that everyone in the Australian Army, they need to bring back compulsory 2 weeks training of initial infantry minor tactics every single year, so that everyone knows how to use their weapons, how to do a section attack, how to do formations, how to command a formation. Because most people, the first time they'll ever do that now is when they actually go to their junior leadership training center and do their JLTC course for their first stripe, which the RAF get for free. Hey, Kaz, did you catch up the relinking parade of 5? Great to see the mighty battalions back in action. They're back joined again, but it is sad to see 2 battalions compressed into one. I mean, the Royal Australian Regiment just got smaller again. Samuel Woodfield started the process to become a combat engineer. Fantastic. Some engineers got to Steel Barracks today. I should have the medical psych and interview. Tommy C. US Army are crazy efficient at moving logistics, especially US Navy. Their logistics is absolutely, it is, and it has to be, because they're talking about billions of dollars as well. Mr. Buckaroony. There you go, finger displayed. He's not an officer. IMT is always part of the SIGs here. Yeah, not anymore. It hasn't been for decades, I don't think, Bucko, sadly. Smoke and Joe have mates at Singo after Kapuka. Glad I didn't pick infantry from what I've heard. Smoke and Joe, it's excellent. Infantry is, and that's what today is about. It is about Australian infantry, day one, how to make your mark. You know, you'd think that making your mark to become infantry would be the first day you get to the battalion. That is not the case. Intermission, drink break. Listen to this. Get rid of the fizz. You won't get that from Pepsi. So good. Who watched Gladiator 2, by the way? Did anyone agree with me that that was one of the worst movies I've ever seen? You know, made by the same director who made Gladiator, the first Gladiator movie. He had to have known that movie was dog shit compared to Russell Crowe, more accurate version of Gladiator itself. So sitting at Lashford now, have mates at Singo after Kapuka. Smokey Joe. Right. So your day one of infantry actually starts on Oath or Affirmation Day. It's to actually sign Oath or Affirmation, enlistment date, man, on the King or on the Bible, that I will solemnly swear to give my life in a horrific way, King, against an enemy who I don't truly hate, for less than I'd get paid as an electrician. It's something like that. All right. That is the day where you need to turn up. You don't get to cuff it. You start your reputation that day, and your reputation will follow you through Kapuka. It will reverberate through those people at Kapuka that will always look at the guys that will go into infantry and say, how did they treat me? How did they act when they were going through Kapuka? Graduate from Kapuka, and they get to the School of Infantry, and you realize the standards just went up 100% when you went from primary school to high school, and they're able to travel at the speed of infantry. Unless some female soldiers have got there, they're allowed to travel at a lower speed, but that's only for this assessment, because after that, she's traveling at the speed of the platoon, and this is where she gets let down. Yep. By the system, not by herself, all right? So when you get there and you ask, well, I want to go to this battalion, I want to go to Special Forces, I don't want to go to Darwin, and I don't want to go to Brisbane, your actions will determine where you get sent. Your actions. You won't have a choice other than turn up prepared. How to make your mark? You turn up with killer's attitude. You turn up there that even if I don't understand what they're asking me to do, I just do it early. And regardless if I'm the toughest guy in my section, then when I turn up there, I will make sure that I help with the with the SALs, cleaning the toilets, cleaning the showers. You know, that I get up early, that I never let a soldier walk around by himself. I walk with him because it's about mateship, it's about buddy, you know, and guys will remember that you took them under their wing, and other people will why. He's a good mate. He looks after people, you know, he looks after his buddy, because in the field, in the section, and on operations, you're going to have battle buddies that you don't necessarily see eye to eye with, that you don't necessarily like. But your job is to protect them like an ugly sister. All right. Now, your fitness, when you turn up, you're in a physical competition against everyone, every day, every time. If you do the bare minimum, then that means that you're a jack motherfucker. Because when someone is fit, that means they're fit for you with their weapon, to support you with their arms holding the stretcher that you're screaming and bleeding on. You know, that learn the best way to do to learn how to do unarmed combat, combatives, how to be slicker on the weapon systems so that they're covering you. But if you can't hold your shit, he can, then that means that you're not being a good mate to him. So you do everything to be the best version of the supporting element for your buddy, not for he done that for you. And you can hold him for account if he says, I'm only going to do the bare minimum of this and that. And you go, so will you do the bare minimum when it comes to helping me get out of harm's way? Probably, because that's the way you rock. All right. Everything is a competition in the School of Infantry. Everything. If you better be a good-looking dude if you're going to Darwin, because you're going to be competing with those 16,000 Marines for the 4 chicks that are in Darwin, and one of them's got red hair and probably comes from Ireland and smokes rollies, overhand grasp. You don't want kids with her. All right. You go to Townsville, you're going to have the competition of having the 1st Battalion, the big blue one. That's what she said. You're going to have the 2nd Battalion, amphibious reconnaissance. You're going to have 3 Old Faithful, and other than that, you're going to be surrounded by engineers, by 4-field artillery, and all the other guys that have got a lot of testosterone flowing through them. Or you can go to Brisbane and be with 6 and 8, 9. Then you'll get sick of the traffic living in the big city. It's not what it's about. You can't really go wrong and up with the wrong attitude. Let's get to this. Foxhound, how you going there, mate? It's been a long time. I just watched a podcast about section and squad size. Basically, what is the desired size, the general consensus by? In truth, where ex-US Marines was 12 to even 15 men incorporating 2IC. Excellent question, Foxy. And what I'm going to be bringing out is a video of what I believe the enemy, same sort of thing sometimes, most of the time, what they need to do to be, to not look at the budget and to look at the capability, requirement, and lethality of the infantry section. We're about to cover that right now, Bart. Eddie B. Jr. from the USA, we just did a 25-mile this past week, Thursday, or for you Aussie folk, Friday. It took about 10 hours, and we started at 5 o'clock. Mate, that's a pretty decent pace. So for those that don't know, that's nearly a 40 clicker. That's a really hefty pace that you're covering there, mate. It is. Because you normally get 2 hours 45 to do 15 kilometers, which would make 5.5 hours, 2 kilometers. So they've done 2 of them in under 10 hours. How are your feet after it, Eddie? 40 clicker pack marches. They're agony. Mr. Buckarini says 8-man sections are too small. We made those based on, and if any officer tells me any otherwise, I'll say they're full of shit. It was made for budget requirements only, to be able to fit an entire section in one armored vehicle and in one helo. The section, I believe, Foxhound, which is infantry, Ringy, is, I believe it should be 13 men. Now, 3 fire teams, okay, 12 possibly. 3 fire teams of 4 that have symmetry between all 3. All of them have exactly the same. Have a machine gun, okay, have communications, and have a commander. Righto? They've also got some sort of 40mm weapon system as well, and probably a marksman. Have 3 of those, so there's symmetry between them with the commander, and think of him as quarterback, and he's got 3 maneuver elements where he can attach to each one of those, and each one should have a 2IC. So 3 lance corporals, senior diggers, even inside that section. That would be excellent, but that would mean we'd need 2 vehicles per section. we should also not have infantry as commanders of the vehicles. We should leave that to cavalry. Let them be that, so that when we get out, we can become light infantry. We can become a second maneuver element, so the vehicles can be detached. We can do our light infantry job while using maneuver, speed, lethality as overwatch from our armored vehicles. You know, they could into the enemy location while we come from another flank at a right angle, and that would mean that a platoon would be massive. But the way to counter that is platoon commanders no longer get promoted at all. No more promotions to captain or major until they've completed at least 10 years as a lieutenant, where their whole job is to learn. Don't join to be a fucking politician. Don't join to be corporate. Don't join to one day be a red tabber, because that means you're going to suck cock all the way to the top and you're going to let your men down. If you join to be a leader, you know, and lead your men. COs, commanding officers, you know, actually learnt their trade with good NCO support when they were a lieutenant. That's where they learnt the skills. That's where they saw the commitment of those that they command. Now, what I also believe is, now that we have got rid of the education rift between officers and the senior, the soldier, I believe most officers should actually come from the ranks. They should come from when section commanders do their courses. From there, it should be, okay, this guy has done, say, 7 years or 7.5 years. They should be considered for commission. You have shown leadership. Your men actually follow you by choice, not just because you have rank. You have the skills. You know, you have the love for the call sign. You're not here for politics. You know, you don't have some sort of narcissistic view of yourself as the hero of every story. You know, and you have the skills that we've already trained. It doesn't need a university degree to now go and take these guys to hell and back. You know, that won't go well, and leadership won't allow that, because that cuts away their big fat dollars when they get to red tabbers, etc. Well, they're not even infantry anymore. Okay. They're just basically a all-corps officer in a political position. But they're not going to allow you to take away the benefits for themselves, are they? Eddie B says, his feet are fine, but my knees hip and back aren't feeling all that well. The load was light as we focused on warming layers and not so much as equivalent, but despite being a light load, it's still weight. Mate, it doesn't matter if you do it with a school bag. 40 kilometers gets heavy, man. And distance, so it still puts a bit of toll on the body, absolutely. Eddie also says, but that we did an individual ruck that required you to complete 12 miles in 3 hours, and I completed it in 2 hours, 34 minutes. Mate, you have come so far, Ed, so far. I'm really, really proud of your evolution, mate. I remember when you were a cadet, and here you are kicking ass, 11 Bravo, representing. Your dad must be very proud. Chantel, she's white, black name, I get it. She must have tears in her eyes for how proud she is of you, mate. You're a really good kid. And that was with about 40 pounds. Okay. So, guys, if you don't know, 2.2 pounds to the kilo. Edward, 18 kilos for you guys. There we go. We can't in Australia because it'd make our women sound too heavy. Mind erosion, 100% agree. Best officers I worked with came from the ranks. Mr. Buccaroony, Ed, are you still using the Alice type backpacks? Eddie Bennett, no, they're currently called the 4K rucksack. We've renamed everything, haven't we? Fight Hub, what support course do you recommend doing in the infantry battalion? DFSW, mortars, reckon? I'm a big believer in DFSW, heavy weapons. Guys, you know, when you join infantry, you're going to have some sort of understanding. Do you want to go for special forces? Right? Do you want to go for mortars? Okay. Do you want to go for surveillance, reconnaissance, snipers, or from the same platoon? Do you want to go for, if pioneers come back in properly, you know, let us know if it's happening right now. Or do you want to go to DFSW? Now, because there's going to be an evolution in all these platoons. The one platoon that I believe that is missing from an infantry battalion is a medical platoon. Always be a medical platoon. I believe whole platoons should go and do combat medic courses, stagger through that, set, so everyone can give you morphine, etc. That should be a basic requirement of every infantry soldier that might be the nearest to a man, or woman or civilian, that is in need of the golden hour to survive. See, we're brand new packs. Any tips for the ICM? Fill me in, ICM. Are you talking about like electronic countermeasures? Foxhound, going back to the size of the section, totally agree, mate. Armed element. I would say that we have an armed element get posted into a mechanised battalion for a period of 3 years. In that time, they become an organic element of the battalion. That, mate, it would be awesome. I was talking about this today. Picture this, guys. I know we're getting off the topic, but I hope you enjoy it because you're not going to find it fucking anywhere fucking else. Imagine if we started to say, and I've got some really interesting shit tonight that I want to talk about, that if I was an officer, I'd be going, dude, I'm going to gobble that up. I'm going to get on Patreon right now. You'd be a fool not to be on Patreon. Digby, you're out there. We had a good talk tonight. He's going to make his family proud. He's from Geelong. He's joining the army in 2025. Yeah, boxer, fit as fuck. Got a beautiful missus, 20 years old. He knows where he's going. But imagine this, that we get away from this tribalism of having the battalions just by himself. How about we have the cavalry units attached to the infantry battalions, and every platoon has 2 platoon sergeants, 2 different officers. The soldiers mix together. They treat each other. Okay, the armoured guys teach the infantry guys how to drive the vehicles, how to maintain the vehicles, how to use the weapon systems. You don't need a fucking certificate. You just need to be deadly. And vice versa. These infantry guys grab their little applets by their black berets, get them in a headlock and drag them into town and show them how to get the girls, how to cut the carbs, how to get rid of some of those toasted fucking sandwiches and get rid of their love handles. Brothers of them. Compete with them. They become our cavwit. We become their foxhound, their dog. Bring in your medic. He's our medic. You better be fit. If you're a medic, your job is to be intelligent and your job is to be fit. Keep up. And your mind has to be 100% when there's someone screaming in front of you, and the emotions are taken over. Meld them together. Embed them with each other, create a family out of these supporting elements, and they will fight together. Love for each other's core and respect. Evolve. What was the other one? Jeez, I've got all the ideas. How about this one? Intermission, drink. Grab yourself a drink. What are you drinking right now? If it's Pepsi, brush my teeth. Well done. If you wonder why I love Coca-Cola so much, wait till you go on operations and you go overseas. And the only thing you're eating is ration packs and that sweet taste of sugar when you're in a foreign country, Coca-Cola. Excellent. Eddie B says, not sure on the brand, Tom. Okay, we're talking about packs still. Hub, if you're an infantry soldier, consider being a fit soldier, a very fit soldier who doesn't complain about everything. Don't be jack on your mates and do as you're told. Yeah, that's and that should be common sense. Don't name names. Cassie, how you going, my dear? Question for you. When does your young man come home? You're about to start holidays too. Teachers and soldiers, they get the most amount of holidays. Jared, how you going, mate? It's been forever. Dwayne Duffy, I've got your, showed him before. I've got the colostomy bag that you've sent me, mate, but I don't know what you put in here, so I'll open it later. We have. Okay. What do you think about this? This would be an interesting one. If you're an officer out there or you're from recruiting and you're being told that you have to hate me like I'm Trump, because you feel like I'm against your narrative, which I'm not. I'm there for the saving of Australian soldiers. I'm there for keeping the spear point sharp. Because if people feel like they're let down, if people feel like they are not being represented by the challenges, the resistance, that keeps their legacy a blue flame moving forward, they will get slack. So imagine this. Imagine, General Stewart, who's a very, very good man, Chief of the Army. Imagine if he said, what do you reckon about this, Mr. Buccaroony? You've never heard me say this. Buccaroony says, Kaz, I saw 57 parade the other day, Sergeant Woes with massive beer guts, dead set. You don't expect to see that in infantry. And I don't think you will see that in 1, 2, or 3. I'd hope not. I hope not. Okay. Imagine if they said, okay, we're at a critical mass for infantry. We need 200 or say 400 great infantry soldiers, and we need them fast. So something fucking radical. One, we need to make YouTube channels. If you're there, General Stewart, listen to me. Allow the soldiers to do YouTube channels that are sponsored by, paid for, military equipment, cameras, etc. And let them do that, because the actual media team for the ADF is dog shit, absolute dog shit. It is so easy to see this is a DEI female hire institution now that makes me sick. All we need is meritocracy. I don't care what gender they are, but make it someone who can do the job, and don't make it so blatant that you're only after Charlie's Angels. So let the guys create these exciting channels that the XO can look at and say, okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. No swearing. Okay. All good. Let's let that through. And you're going to get people then start to take sides when they start having competitions. They're going, who wants to go to 5.7? Yeah, they're mechanized. What about 2AR? They're amphibious and they're already trained to go for 2 commando. Helo casting. And what about 1AR? Yeah, the big blue one. And what about 3AR Old Faithful? Let's get them there parachuting back. Or whatever it might be. The most exciting bit would be if they sent away, a couple of hundred soldiers, locations, and got them to have public speaking opportunities, or got them even $5,000 bonuses per guy that they got to go, yep, sign on after he gets through the School of Infantry and goes to a battalion like a billet system. He goes out and says, yep, this guy. And then he goes in with a ticket, stapled through the guy's ear, takes him recruiting, and they go in there. Also, recruiting, need to fine line that down to, you get told you're coming in at that date, 50 or 60 people turn up, put them in a hotel so they can't get away, bring them in, and they come in and they do everything that day. Now, maybe the aptitude test they do at home. Okay, they do the aptitude test in case you get someone who cannot pass it at all. But other than that, if they pass it, you bring them in and they do the information session, use session, assessment session, medical screening. You don't need a PFA, because you tell them you're not getting out of Kapuka until you pass a BFA. You're not getting to the School of Infantry until you pass a BFA. And bring those standards back in. But get people so they know from 1 month after they get to the actual recruiting, they know that their role is about to be 12 weeks off a year with the best mates, the weapon system, with the state-of-the-art opportunities to skill up, to live a life of adventure of the final frontier with dark humor, with weapon systems that can bust your hymen. We talk about the 84 there, and an opportunity to be the man that you, or the woman that you can be, all cause. A sponsorship system, a streamlined recruiting system, fitness, bring fitness back. Healthy fitness, competition will also make you, a proud testosterone printing individual. There should be no fitness preparation courses that are happening in the army. You've just showed you're not ready. Come back in 1 year. Might sound tough, team, but our job is not to pass on half qualified people to units. One question, when does Gabby go for infantry minor tactics? They do the same. Infantry minor tactics, they do the same. They go to Kapuka. Your parents come and see you march out, and then you go straight to the battalion, straight to the School of Infantry. Yep, absolutely. Bring in compulsory 20-year retirement, which means you have a pension, but you can go and work in a coffee shop because you don't need that much more, and they should not get any, they shouldn't have to pay any tax on that pension either, and free medical. They get a gold card as well. Gold card, pension at 20 years. You've been a servant of the empire, and then from there, I hope you go away and work at Bunnings just to fulfill your mateship requirements and needs. Fantastico. Epic Ed, 578 mech, good old light infantry, supposedly littoral. This littoral, I don't understand. We've been doing maritime up for over 100 years. Stevie, hey, has been watching the channel for ages and finally caught a stream. Great stuff. I've applied for. I reckon Signals is where I want to go. DFR's giving me the stuff around. Steve, come and find me on the bat phone. We'll have a good chat. We'll get you sorted, mate. Foxhound says, mate, 3 Army. Okay. Make Army great again. Absolutely. See, it even rhymes. MAGA, make Army great again. You should be required to do a period no short 6 years as a digger, 2 years as a lance jack corporal, and 6 years as a corporal. Yep, giving corporals their best years. You should not be able to be a sergeant before 10 years. You shouldn't be able to. There should be mandatory levels that you cannot be so that people don't try and rush it to get fast promotion. If you know you cannot get there before a certain amount of time other than on a battlefield, that's the way it should be. Wait 2 seconds. Wait 2 seconds. Okay. Mr. Buccarini, do 20 years and a great pension for the rest of your life. Absolutely. But we do need to also bring back one thing, Bucko, that I know you're going to agree with. We need to bring back honourable and dishonourable service, And we've got to stop kicking someone out for an alcohol-related incident. That's bullshit. People make mistakes. You don't get rid of someone's entire career because of an alcohol-related incident that may have been caused by some other dickhead that pulled someone into its tentacles, telling someone mateship is the most important thing. Never leave a mate behind. Oh, you wanted to help him because he was in a fight after he's been drinking, but you left him because you didn't want an alcohol-related incident? Bullshit. Help your buddy. Think about the ramifications later. Just don't use a weapon. Yeah, Mr. Siv, looking to enlist in 2025. I'm interested in the Boxer, CRV, the armoured vehicle crew, and any tips or input. Mr. Siv, I'd love that too. Some of my best times were sleeping in the back of an armed person, and some of the ones I've been in, I believe, have been sent to the Ukraine. They didn't get to have, their retirement. Mate, it's awesome being in armoured vehicles rolling around. Anthony, I did the Army's work experience at Holsworthy Barracks back in 2022. It was the best 5 days I've ever done. The guy who ran the program was a warrant officer who was in East Timor. He was 343. Such a nice bloke. There you go. Anthony, if he was a nice bloke, he was trying to get you to come in. He was trying to get you to join, to enlist. Once again, team, you're not on doing yourself a disservice. We can have those one-on-one conversations and get you there. Mind erosion. Yeah, have lance corporals and corporals in and around 12 months. There should never be a corporal that hasn't done at least 3 years. Brady Cars, back in the day, everyone had alcohol-related incidents. Boozer life, absolutely, Brady. And a lot of that was encouraged by hierarchies that made us fight, jump around like bloody little circus monkey was. Hey, Budgelicious, how you going, mate? He's one of our members. G'day, Kaz. James here. Spoke to you a few weeks ago. Going to RMC in January. Smashed the PFA last week. Keen for the future. James, can you reach out and have a conversation with me tomorrow or something? Give me a heads up. via your backbone conversation. I love talking to you, as you know, and I learn from you guys as well. Mr. Buckaroonie, true, Brady? True. What you need to do is understand one thing. You're going to be a lid. Ability lid means for 1 year, it doesn't matter if you can box, it doesn't matter if you're tough, it doesn't matter if you're big, you still have to do your penance because your blue book is not filled out. That is a competency logbook. Now, if you don't go to a field exercise, there might be something in that competency logbook that doesn't get signed off that prolongs how long you're a lid for, how long it is before you get paid as a proficient infantry soldier. And this is a really good pay rise that happens when you get your blue book signed off. There's only one man that signed the blue book off, and that's a sergeant. Corporals aren't allowed to write in it. Lieutenants, officers aren't allowed to write in it. It has to come from a trade testing officer, which is a sergeant. So it's important that you finish everything you start and know the difference between an injury and being sore. No one gives a fuck if you're no one, because they're going to be sore too. They're just not going to bleed about it. Yep. You're always going to be sore. What should I expect when I get to Kapooka? Mainly first impressions. Mr. Siv, I reckon the first impressions of getting to Kapooka are some of the most memorable and funny moments of your entire life. You're going to meet people that have turned up there, and you are going to see them in their most shocked, their most vulnerable position they've ever been. You don't know what you're going to see. You're going to have all of these people in the very first morning when they realise they're not in Kansas anymore, and they hear hallway 11, "Hi, 11!" and they come sprinting out of the hallway with their bed and sheets over their shoulder, and there's nothing you can do right. There's nothing you can do. The instructors know it. It's impossible. So they're going to be beasting people, and you're going to see some people that are 35, some people like Wingy that are in their 50s, some people that are 17, and you don't know how people are going to act when the pressure comes down. I've seen one guy, when I was going through Kapooka, his name was Spong, and he'd convinced himself he'd gone blind from the stress. "I can't see, Corporal. I can't see." We also had one guy that had been pretending to be an pretending to be a recruit the whole time, but he was a staff member, and this was the funny gag they had. And this guy said, "I don't want a haircut, Corporal." And they said, "Everyone gets a haircut." He goes, "Look at my hair. I've had a haircut, Corporal. I'm not getting one." And then the corporal came over and pretended to bash him in front of us, and we were like, "Holy shit, this stuff's for real." And then he came back out, and he was actually in uniform. He was a corporal as well. So expect some shenanigans, expect games. Expect that you're going to get more sleep than you normally get. No electronics. You're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I mean exactly at 6 in the morning, brutally get out of bed. And you're going to work till 10 o'clock. It's hard yakka. It is. It doesn't necessarily mean the work is hard, but it's just tiring because you have no autonomy. Mike says, "Hey, Kaz, going to be applying for the Army Infantry in 2025 August because I know I need to lose weight and gain muscle. So I don't let my teammates down." Okay, well, make sure you do something about it, man. Make sure you do something about it. Don't talk about it. Otherwise, you might be saying the same comment in 2027. Maybe you need to just sign up and let the fear of failure get in there and then cause you to train like a bastard who's about to fight Manny Pacquiao 7 weeks later, and that's that weight off. We've had a lot of guys that have done it. Okay, Anthony's in the same boat. Mark Anthony. Teaser. "Hey, Tom, awesome, mate. Looking forward to it." Tommy says, "I'm going Navy, so I'm sort of in the same boat." Navy second choice, man. Mr. Buckaroonie says, "Mike Ledger, I hope you are training and busting your guts now, mate. Eat healthy, no junk food, limited alcohol, get out and jog, do push-ups and chin-ups." What I also recommend you do, Mike, is go and look up on YouTube, even if you do it right now, and go and look at the keto diet and get on that, or a carnivore diet. Because when you're on carnivore diet, you don't snack in between, you don't put on weight, but your body and testosterone levels go through the goddamn roof, with that extra protein in your body. Tommy C, "I love my compassionate posting to Cerberus. Pussers looked after me and fantastic. And that can make a man stay in for good. Mike Ledger replied now. Kyle says, I like that. Mr. Shiv, appreciate this. That's just some clarity. Tommy C, the Navy looks after his people so well. Tommy C, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. That's it, Mr. Buccaroony. What he says right there. Don't talk the talk, kids. Get out and walk the walk. And that is why we love podcasts so much. Because a podcast, when you listen to them, whether it be Sean Ryan, okay, whether it be Zero Limits with Maddie, you know, you're talking about what you've done, not what you're going to do. And that's the whole, to go to an infantry battalion, to go to a signals unit, you know, to go to intelligence, to go to cavalry, to special forces, police force, paramedic, you know, firemen. And then what I want you to do is relay your lessons back to a podcast. And if you know that one day that people are going to be listening to you and the wisdom that you have gained so they don't make the same mistakes, then you truly have one of the wise men of the fucking village. If you can't go on a podcast and you're over 50 years old, what the fuck have you done with your life? You know? What have you done? I reckon Mr. Buccaroony, can we get some thumbs up? Who reckons Mr. Buccaroony we should see if he can go on Zero Limits? You know, go and speak to Maddie. You know, go on there. I might ask Mr. Buccaroony offline about doing that. Because as a service, he's got a lot of stories, whether it be from the prison, whether it be from the military, whether it be as a cop, you know, whether it be what his father did. We've got Jack Albert. Isn't it funny when your name is Jack? It's such a strong name. VC, when you think of Jack, it's a strong name, but at the same time, in the army, it's an insult. So it's a little bit of an oxymoron. Go on Patreon, absolutely. I've had 3 one-on-one chats with you already, Kaz, and you've helped me massively. Phone interview went well today too. Forearm, mine's like a chicken at the moment. Yep, and Jack, and let's make sure that we have another chat very soon, mate, because I love the chats with you guys. Sometimes we do 10 calls in a day. Sometimes we do 2. You know, we've got a few people in harm's way at the moment. You know, if he's out there, Scotty, I was speaking to you while I was on the shit house today. I wasn't real healthy either. You know, and mate, warm words for you. You know, we've got Simon Powell out there who helps us in the background. We've got Carl, who I speak to every single. We've got Mr. P, passed. You know, he's gone, but not forgotten. Rest in peace. We've got so many. I actually missed track of your names, team. No, I do. Until I'm one in the world. Dwayne, how are you feeling? Dwayne's been feeling shit too. Breathe through your balls. I'll try. Hey, Kaz, what's your experience with ego and the social hierarchy of an infantry battalion? That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. You know, ego is earned, but it's also checked. You know, you need to be able to back up that ego, you know, and you're only as good as your last hit out, my friend. What I mean by that is you can speak a big game, you know, but if you fail a BFA, good luck. You're going to be looked at, you know, as what the fuck happened there? Fat fuck, even if you're not fat. Okay, if you don't make it through a field X, you're going to be judged as someone who didn't pass a field X. If you can't carry a weapon system or you go down, all of a sudden you're not considered to be capable or competent with your weapon systems. Any sign of weakness can get you ostracized in some kind of way. And naturally, anything that happens with ego, the civilian aspect as well, you can make mistakes on the piss where you come back the next day and the entire battalion already knows what you did last night. If you've slept with another mate's missus, watch out. You know, if you've had a fight with someone else in the battalion, watch out. That might be round 2 in the morning. if you get caught stealing, by rights, you should get flogged. Kaz, I have a 3-hour podcast coming up in WA camping events on the 16th. Raw interview with a lot of stories from my army, police, and corrections career. I'd love to get a heads up on that. Adventures on the 16th. Absolutely, mate. I'd love to be watching that one. Grumpy old man, he was. Mr. P was. He was. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, what's his name? One of our favourite people, sick as shit at the moment over in Western Australia. Lee is his son. Buckering, that will be a video on YouTube channel. I'll be keen to watch it. Absolutely, Jared. Sick, I'll give it a watch, says Jared. Yep, mine erosion. Lots of love. Might you go for far outweighs my capabilities these days. Gets me in trouble with a gang of kids, though. Hector, g'day, brother. How you going, mate? I hear what you laugh. He says his ego outweighs his capabilities these days. Got me in trouble. It happens to me over here in the Bronx. You know, there's times when I push myself into other people's problems because I can't walk past a problem without, standing up for the person getting bullied or someone being a filthy pig. So no doubt one day, Kaz is going to come in here with a couple of shiners and maybe my nose on the other side of my face because my wrists can hardly hold a purse at the moment, and they wouldn't anyway, but yeah. Your false dogma says, Kaz, I'm still training my fitness up. What month would you consider the cutoff for signing up and getting the ball rolling if I want to be in Kapuka the third quarter next year? Mate, I would still say, I'd say apply at the start of the year because it can be a long, convoluted process and you don't know whether you have something that is also going to be a hurdle for you. So make sure that you apply earlier than you think you need to, because you can say to them, hey, I've just got to complete this, and they'll respect that. Bruce, your balls, how to survive the first day in the battalion. Okay, first day in the battalion. Excellent. When you first get to the battalion, thank you, Breathe Through Your Balls, for keeping me on track. From the School of Infantry, and you get to the battalion, you won't have your trunk with you. You're going to have the bare minimum amount of shit. So when you get to the battalion, you're normally going to go to like a holding area. So you're going to see all of these hundreds of guys getting around with the different shirts on, whether it be the yellow shirt Alpha Company, whether it be the blue shirts for Bravo, green shirts for Charlie, and red used to be for Delta Company. Get your shirts for Support Company and Administrational Company as well. When you get there, you're going to see these guys getting around, right? You don't know what company you're going to go to yet. And you might turn up as 2 or 3 people. You might turn up as 30. What they used to do is have an acclimation period, especially if you're going to Townsville or going to Darwin, where they get you used to the heat by making you train in the heat, by doing your BFA to see, for starters, whether you're physically capable of being a platoon. How do you react to it? You're going to be doing SOPs, learning on all of the mandatory lessons at battalion. And then what's going to happen is the companies will determine, and that could be for a week. It could be longer. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 time of the year, and the necessity that you go into the battalion. But you don't owe anyone in the battalion anything. The respect, call them mate. Corporals, just call them mate. You don't have to call them corporal. It's fucking weird. Sergeants, you'll always call Sarge. Every officer, just call them sir. No dramas. But the blokes, just call them mate. No worries. Talk to them. Be friendly. Eye contact. Be confident. Do not be meek. Because you might be the next best soldier in that battalion once you're given the opportunity. When you get a chance to do a BFA or anything fitness, you do 100%. You should be vomiting at the end of that run to show how hard you are going to put in. As many push-ups as you. That young fella just put in a damn good effort. well done. And you don't want to go in there in a down period of the year. You want to go in there where it's high intensity so you can get tested straight away and, make sure that you represent yourself well. And you should try harder on the first activity than you've ever tried before, because that's where you're going to build your reputation. When you go from the holding acclimation area and you get told that you're going to Bravo Company, 4 platoon, okay, what's going to happen is you're going to get sent down to Bravo Company as either an individual or as a group. You're going to go down there and you're going to meet the CSM, and he's going to give you the rundown on being in Bravo Company. From there, he's going to tell you what platoon you're going to, and he's going to probably introduce you to a section commander or the platoon sergeant, of 4 platoon. Right? And then you're going to get over there, and then you're going to have the platoon commander where you'll meet him, and he's going to ask all about you. Or you might get fast-tracked and dropped in the shit straight away, and they might platoon, or who might be sitting around, looking at their arms, training, and just who's the new fella? Okay, talk about yourself. Don't fuck around with it. Give them 2 full minutes of who you are. Now, I'm Dean Caswell, Newcastle. I was born on Anzac Day. My father was in the army. He was a Vietnam veteran before me. Ever since I was a kid. And then I heard about the 2nd Battalion, and I thought, why would I want to go anywhere else? This is just on a fast track to go to Special Forces. I love the ocean. I love swimming. I'm here to work hard. I'm here to train hard. I know I'm a lid. I know I prove to you that I'm a good guy. And as soon as we can and we get over to the booze, I'm going to buy us a carton of beer, and hopefully you'll drink it with me, and allow me to have the best opportunity to earn my position within the platoon. Until then, unless you ask me a question, and I'm a dog man, not a cat man, I'll shut the fuck up until you ask me any other question. And I've got 4 beautiful looking sisters, and that can be bullshit. But no one's going to give you a hard time if they think you've got 4 beautiful sisters that might be moving up to Townsville. They're going to try and come over and, hey, how you doing? Hi. But beware of the very first person that comes over and says hello to you, because I'll tell you anything. Normally the first person that comes and sees you is some sort of fucking weirdo. The good guys will stay back and they'll watch. They'll take you to an extent, but they're also going to expect you to stick up for yourself. If someone starts to give you a hard time, you need to be able to stand up for yourself. Come over and go, don't bully him. That's not going to happen. They're going to see the way you react. Are you going to be a runt? Are you going to become someone that is always like, yeah, we need numbers? Or are you going to be the guy that is an actual character, a celebrity of that platoon? Someone that shows promised leadership and toughness and robustness that makes people realize that your Skippy badge was earned. So buy them a carton, try your hardest, try to beat everyone at everything. Every PT session is a competition. I want you to be the best at something, whether it's swimming, whether it's push-ups, whether it's chin-ups, whether it's the strongest in bench press, whether it's the fastest runner. Now, if you need to train twice a day when you first get to the battalion for the first few months to make sure that you're in the top third of fitness at all times, all in a battalion, the rest falls into place. And then from there, watch. Don't make a decision, I want to be a sniper, I want to be recon, I want to be heavy orders. Watch. And after a while, your taste will change. You may never want to go to Special Forces after you see, I don't want to go anywhere, but that mortars shirt, it's excellent. That's what I want to wear. That's what I want to earn. I want to be around those guys. And then when you go out with a unit and the guys ask you to come out, you make sure you go out. Don't say no. You either go out as the driver and drive them out. If you don't drink, buy them a beer, but don't be a sucker. They get paid the same as you. You're not meant to be buying them drinks. At the booze, but other than that, you don't know them shit. Yeah. Can be talkative, be detrimental as a lid? Absolutely. Yeah, it can. Break through your balls. Because remember, most of our job when we go out in the field environment is everyone's shut their mouth. You got to learn how to whisper, but don't talk too much. Commissioned officer or soldiers, Rick, we've already got too many commissioned officers, I reckon. But if you reckon you can make a difference and you join for the right reason, you're not doing it because you want to be a politician sometime, because you don't want to be corporate sometime, you're doing it because you want to be the leader of men, and you think you've got to be the Donald Trump, you got to be the real leadership, you want to make a difference, you want to make Army great again, like someone said before, then step up and be an officer. You always want to be part of that conversation, but it shouldn't be because you've got a confidence problem where you're maybe narcissistic and you're going to make yourself the hero of the dish. Army runs in the blood, Kaz. It does, mate. And let me tell you something else, guys, as we're about to get out of here. I could not love a person I don't believe as much as I love the military. To have been out for nearly 10 years now, and that makes no difference, because a soldier is a soldier. You can't say I'm an ex-veteran. You can't say I'm an ex-soldier, because if I had to step up today, I'd step up today. You know, daughter Remembrance Day, father Vietnam veteran, and all I do is study infantry, you know, and when in doubt, where it all began, okay? You need to have something that makes you tick, and this is what makes me tick, and that's the reason why I'm here. Might sound like sometimes there's going to be people here for the first time ever that need to subscribe right now so that I can give them some sort of support when the rest of their family and society doesn't. You know, because I can tell you one thing that is coming our way, guaranteed: national service or conscription. It's coming our way. And I'll tell you why. The population around the world is falling drastically. South Korea at the moment is estimated to have nearly a drop in population of 96% in 100 years from now. Their replacement value is less than 1.4, which means in 100 years from now, for every 100 people that are there now, there'll only be 4. 4 instead of 100. There's no 2 point, there's no replacement. England, the similar thing is happening. Australia is getting low as well. And when you do not replace it, cannot replace the people, you cannot support the elderly. And so what ends up happening is you start inviting other cultures in that water down your culture and destroy your country, because it brings in other cultures' problems. You know, that's what happens. You end up losing your country voluntarily. There is no way to turn this around. Could you expand on what's involved? Mate, easy. So the BFA, if you're only 25 years old, you have to run under 11 minutes 18, but the expectation is you run under 10 minutes. You should be doing between 40 and 100 push-ups. The sit-ups, 100, mandatory, and should be able to swim at least 200 meters, you know, without any problems, freestyle. Yeah, Blakey. Everyone that is about to join the Army has more than 7 weeks, even now, before the first course starts in January. So you have no excuse not to get your push-ups up to a level that works. Let's have a, before we get out of here, let's look at a few comments. No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. We'll keep it sweet. I was going to bring out, someone brought up a comment in a video. It wasn't about the females in combat course. It was a actual video where I said there's no excuse to fail Kapuka, and the person was saying, well, I didn't know it was going to be that hard. I didn't know it wasn't going to be for me. I didn't know it'd be yelled at. I feel like I got lied to. You going, what the fuck do you think when you go to join the Army? What do you think? I don't care if you're going as a dental nurse. If you're getting yelled at, it's not from emotion. It's not female anger. You know, it's because we want you to move right goddamn now, because something else that we don't have time to explain to you is about to occur. We need this cog to turn in unison with this cog that's working over here. You're a name, you're a number, and that is it. Every one of us is replaceable. Remember that. You're a big bloke, Bucko, but I was not a good runner, but did 9:45 as a warrant officer class 2. That's excellent. 1901 for the 5-kilometer run, and he's a big fella. You know, mine was 18:45 for the 5-kilometer. You know, and funny enough, was 8:44 for the 2.4. But my running was because I could not have tried harder. It wasn't because I was a good runner. It's just I ran 100%, 100%. Mind erosion. If any of you ever get med discharge, make sure you keep your military buddies close. Absolutely. You have to, because once you've joined them, you will never truly fit in properly with civilians again. You just don't think the same way. You just don't. It's not a slight on what it is. You think of a barbecue where you turn up there and people hit the piss, and initially they're talking about football, and they're talking about nebulous crap. At the stamps up, and it slowly gets to politics, religion, history, and war. When army turn up to a barbecue, yeah, fucking yeah, those Democrats, suffering your jocks, liberal tears, ha ha. Let's talk about wars that are happening at the moment. Straight away in the bloody in geopolitics, there's no holding back. There's no prisoners. Lydia Thorpe, what a fucking idiot, sucker. Australian soldiers, they go straight into the hot topics as they're getting out of the car, and you can already hear their wives behind them going, just don't ruin another barbecue. And if you're going to turn to a barbecue as a soldier, do not turn up with 6 thin sausages, okay, like Raffy's dicks. You turn up with tomahawk steak, prawns. Everything's a competition when you're infantry. Turn up with the best food. What else we got? Brady. Buck. Bren Gun. They were only used for reserves and support unit application. Lithgow were manufacturing a Minimi by F-89. The Bren was still in the lineup on my small arms Core 6. The Bren Gun is one of the best looking weapons, and it definitely earned its keep. It is the best looking machine gun, but a horrible weapon system. The feed mechanism is absolutely shit. And I reckon John Rambo thinks on becoming a first responder after military. Tough one. Breathe through your balls. Wait 2 seconds, team. This will be the little daughter. How'd you go at school today?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to holidays in another week or so?
There's less than a week now.
I know. And guess what?
Next week on Wednesday.
Press like.
Next week on Wednesday.
Yeah?
Is when I stop.
I love that. And guess what?
What?
Today, we got you a whole bunch of more Christmas I didn't expect to get you.
Oh, no. Does Mum know?
No. Of us, but no, not yet.
You're going to agree?
Of course. Okay. I'm online at the moment. I've got to go, baby.
Okay, bye.
Can you say hello?
No.
Okay, I love you.
Oh, too. Bye.
Bye-bye, darling. Bye.
Bye.
The only thing I love more than my infantry career, team, is my little girl. Speaking of hot topics, what do you think of the rebel advance and victories in Syria? It's a tough one, Blake. Okay, we got a station 2 soon, Blakey. Mate, it's a tough one. I hate seeing these wars in location where no help is coming. A place to have a look at the moment that is absolutely gone to dog shit and there is no help coming for him is Haiti. That's as bad as it can possibly get. We're starting to almost get on the edges of Rwanda sort of shit that's happening in Haiti at the moment. It is so sad. And kids have already started holidays, says Mr. Buckaroony. Cooper, there you go, buddy. There you go. And what's happening with your life, mate? I don't even know how to pronounce this one. CB Shushi Jish 73. why School of Infantry is more watered down and say, in my opinion, can get through that without being that fit. To be honest, they'll just push you through. And that, my friend, and I know that's not what you're saying. You're not saying it's a good thing. That's a horrible thing. It's good for the applicant who thinks, okay, I'm going to get through. But these guys, we are getting close to, I believe, potentially a flare-up happening somewhere in the world if Donald Trump, can't use might and strength to create peace. There's going to be a flare-up in a place we don't expect. And Australia's going to get dragged in as and we could very well find ourselves over somewhere where we get in the thick of the shit and it could be brutal. Absolutely. We don't have the people that want to join. They just don't want to join. I've seen it since I've had this channel for 10 years. The recruiting go down like that. So many blokes with so much estrogen, it's out of control. A lot of female energy getting around, and that's not an insult to women. I'm just saying guys acting like girls, over emotional. And if we're not ready, there has to be conscription and nervous. This is so great to hear Kaz stopping to talk to his daughter. You got to love it. Yeah. What I do for that little girl, I don't know if she'll ever truly understand, mate. Dominic, what do you think about crewman aircraft support? I know nothing about it. Are you talking about rotary wing helicopters, or are you talking about in RAF, my man? November Echo. Hey, we're thinking about you today, Kaz, N91. I don't know, was that good or bad? Were you hoping that, were you voodoo dolling me? Blakey Smith. They sent in Kenyan forces, but they did shitless all in Haiti. They don't want Western forces due to past history of colonialism. Blake, one of the they're also some of the dumbest people alive with an average IQ of around 67, which means they're not capable of living in a civilized society. And as for colonialism, that's some of the best thing that can happen for a lot of people. It gives them opportunity to either be the best they can be. It's not perfect by any means. It's not. But everything is better than what Haiti is at the moment. The way they're treating themselves, anything they reckon that's happened in the past, the way they treat themselves is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. 85% they reckon of Port-au-Prince is now taken over by gangs. I'm no psyop. 2 Cav was, here we go, Brady Cuss. Being in 2 Cav, it was all 30 cal, 50 BMG would have to be the longest serving weapon in existence today. First designed in the 20s as an upscale version of the 30 cal. Mate, it definitely deserves retirement. Matty, not me, Kaz, psych on 17 defensive view on the 20th of December. I can't believe they're still, Matty, I didn't even realise they were still doing tests on the 20th of December. I thought everyone would have been away basically with their sunburn and avoiding zinc. Hey, Kaz, just want to say at the beginning of last year, I started watching Channel to prepare for the military, and now it almost feels surreal being since the beginning of the year. Mate, it is absolutely amazing. I have the best, honestly, the best platform you could hope to have. I see the success stories. I get to talk to the people and see the evolution as before they joined, talk to them. And that's why I love the bat phone. Because when someone jumps on the bat phone, talk to them as a civilian, and then I hear their evolution as they're at Kapuka or at RMC, when they're having their Kentucky in their first local leave. Then I hear about their families coming to see them and seeing their dad cry for the first time, and then seeing as they go to the School of Infantry with the fear of God back in them. And then they've got their Skippy badge, and then they go silent. Then I hear about them again, and they're on their either a subject course for promotion, or they're going to heavy weapon. Shit, I love it. I run into people all the time that go, "Are you Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz?" I go, "Yes, I am," and I haven't been bashed for it yet. Love it. See you later, moderation. Army Aviation Ground Crewman. Mate, aviation is a fantastic corps, absolutely fantastic. And you'll get that chocolate milk and the double glazed windows. And one of the benefits about Dominic is you'll always be up in the helos. Yeah. Blake Smith, it is a tough, because they should accept Western help, but the way they're going to treat Western help is, and it's not going to be good, man, when they've already pulled out the aid agencies and they pulled out the all of the what do you call them? They pulled out the embassies. That's a bad sign, man. It really is. There's going to be victims over there, and it's heartbreaking. Having seen this stuff pan out in reality, it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And it makes me feel terrible that we're sitting here, wondering if our crypto is going to go up a couple of cents. Well, we've got people wondering how they're going to feed their family. We're so lucky. Okay, a couple more questions. We'll be out of here. G'day, Kaz. Son just landed in Laverick Barracks with the 4th Battalion. Finished at Pucker. 4th Battalion? There's no 4th Battalion. Finished at Pucker School. Okay, Forefield. School of Artillery. Yeah, okay. I know. So, g'day, Kaz. Son landed at Laverick Barracks with not the 4th Battalion, with the 4th Regiment. Finished at Pucker, School of Artillery a week back. Huge learning curve. Still hoping they grant him Christmas leave. You're probably going to see him in a couple of weeks there, or a couple of days, Rexy 40. I couldn't imagine they're going to keep him back. He's going to get trainee. Yep, awesome. Hey, Scotty, I see you there, mate. Food is overrated. I love it. There you go, 4th Regiment. Yeah, you threw me out there when you said 4th Battalion. I was going, what? Congratulations. Can we get some thumbs up to Rexy 40? So he's, 4th Regiment, supporting 3rd Battalion. All good, Rex. And tell me, mate, were you the proudest man alive when your son actually completed his training? That's excellent. Because that shows not only, but now he's up in Townsville and he can invite you up and you can have the best Mexican food, authentic Australian Mexican food, but that accounts for 15% of Mexican drownings as they try to come over here to eat it. Hating Laverick at the moment, it's so hot. Cooper, the heat in Townsville, it feels like domestic violence. It tastes like it. You need to get a unit. If you go to Townsville, I recommend this. It doesn't matter what unit you go to, that you get a unit in a complex that has a swimming pool. Because one, you never have to do lawn work when you're at once. When you're there, you can just leave your aircon on. You're getting rental assistance. No one knows where you actually live in that building. You don't have to maintain shit. And then you just go up, instead of a shower, instead of a bath, before you go to work in the morning, go up, dive in the pool, look at everyone else's wife, get back out, did him out of the village. That is a tactic. Yep. All the FNG's got read details in my day. Field engineers. It was, it ended up being, we ended up doing it all. We were 2 RAR and 2 4 RAR and 1 RAR. But it meant you got to knock off early too, which was a present. Guys and gals, thank you very much for being here tonight. Make sure you hit that like button if you can. The like button is not for me. The like button is so this channel gets to a position. I think it's the slowest moving channel on earth, but it's going to allow us to get more visual from people who want to join the military, who feel like there's no one actually supporting the next generation of Anzacs. So make the channel bigger so we can support it like a pair of boobs, Mexican boobs. Love them all. Take it easy, team. And remember that an army is not about its uniform. It's not about its flag. It's not about its equipment. It's about its human resources. And that is its humans. It's about the digger's spirit. The Anzac, the New Zealander. It's not about his uniform. It's about the ticker in his heart and his warlike heart. We've got to keep the standards up. We've got to keep them strong, and leadership needs to have leadership. Take it easy, looking after your children, when you need them to be looked after the most. We support them from here, from afar, and let's get ready for Christmas. I want you to think, while we're on the way out of here, is what is our second channel going to be about? Is it going to be about reactions? Is it going to be about interviews? Is it going to be about short stories? What's it going to be about? Let us know, team. I'm going to look at your questions. I'm going to be answering some of your questions here right now by typing, but it's time we got out of here. Thank you very much for your respect and putting up with the lesbian ghoul. And let's get ready for Christmas. See you later. See you, bucko. See you in respect. Peace to your mother.